Check the description for the following discount codes. Been a little while since I've visited Bob from Race at Home, and that's where I'm stood today. We're going to be taking a look at his latest product in his range of motion systems, which is the LowSlider. This takes the original LowRider that I have at home. In fact, I'll put a clip of that up now. The LowRider has a single traction loss actuator at the rear, so you see here in Dirt Rally the back end sliding around as I'm sliding around, and it has a single surge actuator that will literally surge you forward as you accelerate and then return you to center when you let off the accelerator. And these two additions to any motion system are a big deal in my opinion. They really change the game. Just having 4 vertical actuators is great for road textures, lumps, bumps, rumble strips. But when it comes to simulating the back end of the car sliding out, something that shouldn't really happen on, sort of circuit-based racing, but in rally, of course, you yank the handbrake, you slide around, it's what it's all about. It's most of the fun, to be honest. And the surge, as you literally put your boot down off the line and you feel yourself accelerating forward with the maximum force that these actuators, PT actuators, Scorpions, can provide, really adds another element to the immersion and the realism of sim racing. So, fast forwarding to today, we've now got a front actuator. Some people would call this dual traction loss, but that's not really accurate. What we've got here, and in fact, let me get my camera and I'll do a close-up walk around of what we've got, because I think this is a beautiful piece of equipment. Here we go. So you can have it in any colour you like. We've got it in kind of a, well, I'm colourblind, but to me it's kind of a purpley mauve. But you can see we've got our rear traction loss actuator here. The entry-level base model comes with 200 mil of travel, and the same for the surge actuator, which is, there's the back of it there. You can see the front of it here. 200 mil again there. And then we go around to the front. This is what we're talking about and looking at today. This is our third actuator here. Again, 200 mil of travel. Now, the LowSlider itself is, it's called low because it literally is low. Look at the footprint of this. Look how slim it sits on the floor. The base plate is, I don't know, 5 mil steel, something like that. And then all the rest of this box section we see here, everything's kept to be as low as possible so as to not raise our rigs a silly distance up in the air. Now, just to point out, this is the Race at Home workshop. So this is the rig that all the testing is done. This stuff is on and off all the time, hence the cable management, hence the stuff just lying around everywhere. It's not like a demo studio. It's literally where they trial and test stuff. But I love the look of it. It's almost like a wingsuit shape, and then you've got these nice cutouts here and at the front here, which is all about keeping the weight down and keeping the cost down. You don't want to use more material than you need to. And I think it looks lovely. Again, it's available in pretty much any colour you want. They will powder coat this too, just like the original LowSlider was. So, you'll have seen in my clip earlier, me using this, using my LowRider, in Dirt Rally. So you'll have seen how the rear traction loss actuator works. What we want to demonstrate today is what you gain by having a front actuator. Again, it isn't about traction loss at the front. Like if you're understeering across a track, yes, the whole rig or if the back is sliding, if you're doing a 4-wheel slide, the whole, say to the left, the whole rig will move to the left. But it's more about, and this kind of surprised me, I wasn't expecting this, but I suppose I should have done really. It's more about what happens at the front of the car under normal operation, when you steer. In real life, when we're sat in our cars and we steer left or right, the front of our vehicle follows the track of our wheels, doesn't it? And the back end obviously stays where it should and just kind of gets dragged along behind. This is what happens now with this. So let me just get a clip up of me demonstrating this. and you'll really see what I mean. Small inputs on the steering wheel, as you can see here, translate to small movements at the front of the rig. And then larger inputs translate to greater movement at the front of the rig. And this really feels like I'm steering a very responsive sort of quick rack fitted car. You know, I'm turning the wheel and my rig's moving with me. Left, right, wiggling down the track. And it can't be understated how much this adds to the feeling of immersion. A bit like with the surge actuator when you accelerate. You know, you put your boot down and you feel the seat pushing you forward, just like in real life. And again, with a rear traction loss actuator, the back of the car, you feel it swing round just like you do in real life. Obviously, within the limits of physics, it can only move you 200 mil. You know, you can't actually keep spinning round and round like if you're doing the donut, for example. But as you'll have seen in the clip I'm putting up, you know, I put up a minute ago, the front actuator giving you that ability to feel like your car is turning left to right. When you pull out to overtake a car, when you follow the racing line and you steer from the outside to the inside and you feel the nose of your rig, just like the nose of your real car actually moving, is something really quite special. And I was about to say, it's definitely worth the investment. We'll talk about price now, and I can't really say it's definitely worth the investment because how much people are prepared to spend is entirely down to your own budgets, your own wants and needs, and what you can justify. So, as with everything with motion, it's expensive compared to, you know, buying an entry-level G920 steering wheel. The LowSlider, in its basic form, which is 200 mil, 200 mil, 200 mil, so for each of the three actuators, front and rear, and your surge, in a single colour, shipped to the UK with a Thanos controller. The Thanos controller is what then USBs into your PC. The Thanos controller is what actually controls the actuators. So you need to have one if you don't already have a Thanos controller because perhaps you've got 4 upright actuators. Then you would just add in the additional hardware to plumb these into them. But yeah, with a Thanos unit, 200 mil, 200 mil, 200 mil in a single colour in the UK is £8,600. If you don't need the Thanos controller, I think the price drops by about 500 quid, something like that. And of course, if you want more than one colour, you want it two-tone. If you want 250 mil actuators, if you want it shipped somewhere else in the world, you'll need to contact contact Bob, or at least look on the website. There is a lot of drop-down menus, so you can choose a lot of these things and see how the price differs for where you actually are in the world. There will also be a discount of some description. All the details of that will be in the description below. Bob hasn't yet finalised what it's going to be, which is why I can't tell you face to face, but all the details will be in the bottom. It will be a limited time period, you know, maybe 30 days or 60 days from when this video goes up. But all the details of that will be in the bottom. But as I say, if you've already got 4 vertical actuators and you're thinking, is it really worth getting traction loss, surge, and now a front actuator? The answer is most definitely yes. I'm a little bit gutted because I can't have a front actuator at my house. Bob said to me, Carl, do you want me to upgrade you, because I have his system on loan, do you want me to upgrade you to the LowSlider? But I can't do it because I've got my triple screen set up. I only have about 20 mil of clearance between the screens and my rig when it's on full tilt and full slide. If I add a front actuator in the mix, it's going to smash into my displays. And having tried this out for today, I'm actually a little bit gutted because, as you see in that clip I put up, and I might put it up again now, being able to turn your steering wheel and the front of your rig move just like it would if you were in a car, it actually feels a little bit like being in a go-kart because it's so direct. You know, you turn the steering wheel and, you know, because the point at which it's pivoting is only, you know, it's directly under your feet in actual fact. It feels very much like you're steering a go-kart is probably the best way to describe this. So, I mean, you could say that isn't particularly realistic if you're driving a you know, a GT3 car, but that isn't really the point. We're within the limits of physics and what we can do with a simulator setup. But yeah, I think really it's just an amazing piece of kit. How low profile everything is, doesn't put your rig up off the ground too much. The sort of wingsuit shape is something I really like. The color customization I like, and the way it performs is excellent. It's just, you know, it's using the PT actuator, same as what I'm used to anyway. Oh, it's also compatible, or sorry, it will be compatible, the LowSlider this is, with existing D-Box setups. If you've got a 4 actuator D-Box setup, you will at some point in the future be able to add a LowSlider to that using a Thanos controller to operate it, obviously. There is actually a unit over there in development at the moment, the engineering side of things, to adjust the dimensions and the brackets that would hold your D-Box actuators to your rig to be able to plop straight into a LowSlider. So for those of you with D-Box that like the idea of having rear traction loss, surge, and a front actuator, I might as well call it a front steering actuator, because really it's the steering that it simulates. So traction loss, steering and surge, then you're going to be able to very soon. It's literally only, I think there's one more adjustment needs to be made for it to all just fit perfectly. And then you obviously run your D-Box software, running your 4 verticals, and you'll run Sim Racing Studio via the Thanos unit for the LowSlider. And again, if you've invested sort of the 20 grand it might be in a D-Box setup, if you can afford another 8.5 for a LowSlider, you're really going to be up in your game. Often people speak about, does motion make you faster? I actually think in some respects motion can make you slower from a competitive point of view, because you find yourself fighting with your vehicle more. But from an immersion point of view, it really steps things up another level. And as I say, I'm a little bit gutted that I can't have a steering actuator, purely because it will smash my displays to pieces. Or I'd have to adjust the angles of my displays and move the center one further away, and then I'm kind of getting in the realms of what's the point in having big displays if you've moved them so far away. You might as well have had small displays that are closer, so I don't really want to do that either. But you know, I'm spoiled anyway. The fact that I've got any sort of motion is thanks to Bob here lending it to me. But yeah, I think it's a great product. My LowRider has been flawless in the time I've had it, no issues whatsoever. It's super smooth in operation. This feels just the same, but now we've got the addition of the steering actuator at the front. Anyway, I hope some of you have found this interesting. There'll be a link to the Race at Home website in the description, and the details of the discount that Bob has made available for this time period. As always, thank you very much for watching, and take it easy.